Well, welcome to the No Limits podcast. I'm delighted to have both Kelley and Claire Louise with me today from KC Socials, a fairly new business in the social media space, or a new business as I believe it, as a duo, a partnership. You've got loads of experience in the business. Welcome,
Thank
ladies.
you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
No, absolute delight to have you on. And I just want to start with your story. I come across a lot of entrepreneurs who sometimes find it difficult running a business themselves. I say difficult. They would prefer to have a partner to do stuff with. What's your journey to? I know you formed this business together in April. What's your journey of coming together been?
For me, I started as a solopreneur about 2 years ago, and I joined Tech Pixies, which is a social media teaching facility run by Joy Foster. And she runs loads of courses of learning how to do social media, how to do it better, how to do it for business. And through that huge community, I became very involved with the back end stuff and the stuff that they do.
Right.
I eventually got a contract through them to do their social media management, and they offer an internship, which I did, and then ended up running and still run. And Claire Louise came in from her extensive knowledge and wanted to then become accredited. So she came in as the intern, and I started mentoring her. Not that I'd needed too much because she already knew it all, so that wasn't wasted on my part. But she then became, because her background kind of assets was something that Tech Pixies were looking for as well, and are better than mine, and mine are like front end, Claire's is back end. And we were going through a business course together through Tech Pixies, and everybody was like, well, you're so similar and you're so very kind of like, you do this bit, she does that bit. Why don't you work together? And this was like planting seeds for such a little while. And
okay,
then
so somebody else suggested it to you, did they? Just observe it?
Yeah, several times.
People had said we both liked different aspects of the job. We can do everything solo, but yeah, Kelley's definitely more your front person who engages with everybody and makes things look pretty in the forefront, and I definitely prefer the back end and off camera.
Well, I'm delighted to have you both on there. It's lovely when you can find that perfect partnership. How did you take it from there? Because entering a partnership is a bit like a marriage in a way. You want to make sure it works, nobody gets upset. What did you do?
We had extensive conversations because my head was like, well, Claire Louise has got the analyticals and she's got the background and the stats and this, like she said, which we can all do. I have got no love for that area at all. I love the results afterwards. So obviously numbers going up and we're doing a good job. I love all that. But finding that all out, I've got no love for it. And I was like, that's huge. That's such a big part of social media management, is it analytics and working out where you're going wrong or right. And I was like, what can I bring? Surely that's 80% of the job is what Claire Louise is going to do. How am I going to bring, how am I going to match that? And as it's turned out, it's like, well, she absolutely does not want to do engagement. She doesn't want to do the contacting, getting the client nurturing pathway going with their audience, which I love. So I was like, is that enough? Does that bring enough? And as we start, we're like, okay, let's just try it out. Let's see what we're going to do. Okay. And she had her own personal clients. I had my own personal. I was like, okay, let's merge us together.
Right.
And figure out what each other can bring. So that was, it was like a marriage of ideas and partnerships, of thinkings and thoughts and how to move forward.
It was interesting that you were thinking, well, hang on, Claire Louise does 80% of the job. Out of interest, Claire Louise, what were you thinking at that point?
I was genuinely thinking exactly the same thing. I was like, well, it's okay having the back end, but if I can't do the front end, that's to me, that's the main part of it. I think we'll both say different. Like Kelley will say mine's the main and I'll say hers, but I think we figured it out. It was 50-50 really as we've gone along. And, we kind of both move over into each other's as and when we need to, and support and help, obviously. I mean, we're on call literally daily, Monday to Friday, and on the phone all weekend. So when you say it's a marriage, it definitely is. It really is.
Yeah, well, I guess one of the great things is you very quickly got to a realization of kind of 50. I know a number of businesses probably learn from this because they try and struggle and try and do everything, including the stuff that they're not good at.
Exactly. I think that's what I struggled with, was like, I know I can do the stats and the analytics. I know about it. I know I can do it, but I have got no love or desire to do it. And then I struggled with letting that go, because I thought, if I'm going to be a social media manager, I've got to be authentic, and I've got to show up and go, right, I can do all of this, which I can, but to know that I really didn't like this part, I didn't feel authentic, and I thought, how can I possibly be a social media manager if I cannot do everything to 100% thought wise?
Yeah.
So now with Claire Louise, like matching the 50%, like we said, it's like, okay, fine, because now we can social media manage your account and we can look after it 100% in all angles, because everything is given 100% each time, because we own certain parts of our areas. And the crossover is extremely important, because obviously then it allows us to be able to go away and turn off the phone or turn off the computer and have quality time with relatives, holidays, whatever, and still know that your business is ticking over and your clients are being looked after, because you obviously, she trusts me, I trust her, and you can just leave that, walk away and know everything's fine, and come back on the Monday and carry on.
Nice. You mentioned it was quite hard letting go. What did you do to, because you've obviously let go to some degree, it may still be hard, but what can others learn from experiences you've had, Kelley?
For me personally, I think it's just knowing your limits, working out where are your boundaries, what don't you like, what do you like, and being okay with that. That there are aspects of a role that you're not necessarily going to align to in every part. And with what we do, there's so many intricacies along the way. I mean, oh gosh, you see adverts all the time. Have a social media manager for £100. I'm like, mate, seriously? There's so many nooks and crannies that you need to know and update so often that it's okay to not like or know those areas if you've got someone else that can backfill and get those areas up and running. I mean, I know there's a lot of social media managers that do it on their own, and all credit to them. I did it for 2 years. It's just not something I love in that respect. Working with Claire Louise and going, I'm just struggling with this. I don't know how to fix this, or I don't know how to make this better. Like, Claire Louise creatively is just amazing. So I'll be like, I've got this idea. And then she'll go, okay, and and then she'll make something sparkle, and I'm like, right. It's like the interior designer with the stuff already in place. It's like, done. And I'm like, okay, now we can move forward. So it's just, if people are not wanting to because obviously every company is a baby to that person that's invented it, that's created it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you can let somebody in, potentially, that can match you, or even take some of that burden away, even like an outsourcing, and go, right, okay, something, I'm good at this, I'm not great at that, let me outsource it, or get a partnership and work with someone. For us, it's perfect.
Wonderful. So great to hear. So have you now set your limited company? Did you set up together? How did you sort of structure things so it all works?
No, we're not limited yet. There's time for that yet.
I mean, you're going, so it was fine. You started up in April, so
Yeah, we're very
Yeah.
much in our infancy together. I mean, we're together. We hold 15 years worth of experience, but as our own company, as just from the April this year. But yeah, that's our dream is to obviously to build it up, get our income to a point that it's serving everything that we want, and we're trying to have a good relationship with money in the sense of that. Yeah, it's okay to ask what you're worth. It's okay to get the money that you're worth earning, because it does take time, and that time is a number, and we need to get that in. So our hope is that it's not a hope. We will get to a point where
Nice. Great direction. Lovely, Kelly.
changing it. We will get the monthly money in that we want, and we will get to a point where we can give back, because we have learned so much from Tech Pixies, from Joy Foster, from supporting others and learning from others, because there's always someone that knows more than you in some factor.
Absolutely.
And we want to be able to get to the point where we can go, well, actually, Claire Louise, we got asked, it was an internal email that went out to everybody in the community, and was asked, can anybody offer some internship? Like, can an intern, can they come work with you to learn how to be a social media manager with your company? And Claire Louise offered us up as a give back. They come work with us for 28 days. They do a campaign. They market us, and they do basically what we do, but they learn from us as well. And it's like one step closer to being able to give back as well. And that's what we want to do long term, is to be able to have a little team, a really intricate little team of people that come in and take bits and stuff and earn a wage. And because we're both got kids, obviously Claire Louise is a single mum. I was for a while. So it's just like, okay, what can we do? How can we give back? And it's not just female orientated. It's however it needs to work. We need to have our jobs aligned with our family. Obviously that's, like I said to you, can we please be finished by 3? Because obviously I've got to get the kids.
Absolutely, you've got to get your priorities. Your priorities right. And yes, yeah. So, how did it sounds like just through, in your case, it sounds like just through conversation, you're kind of really well aligned, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We both did both got interviewed by Joy and had on her podcast, and there was so many similarities. Well, we didn't know each other at that point. There's so many similarities with our stories, our backgrounds, our love for family, and trying to be 24/7 independent and money earning and mum and all these roles. It's like, oh, and the fact that she's only a couple of years younger than me, so she relates to the 80s jokes. So I'm really happy about that.
Excellent. I look forward to one of those later.
On the spot there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think it helps that we can actually get, like I said, get on call together as well, because I think many people know that solo business owners, it can get really, really stressful and overwhelming, and just kind of being able to have that other person on a call, and who recognizes when you're getting a little bit down and overwhelmed, and can actually say, look, step away, I've got it. Kelly's done it many times, as obviously I have with her, and I think you miss that if you're not in a partnership. I know I would. I don't think I could go back to like being on my own now.
Yeah, well, there's a massive. You're a massive testament to the sort of the power of community and the good stuff it can create, and also being. Sounds like you're really honest with yourselves as well, because there are a lot of solopreneurs out there who probably felt like you did in the past. It can be quite lonely, and even if there isn't a skills complement, yeah, like you have perfectly, they just need someone to bounce ideas off, put them right, be that honest, open friend.
100%. I think it's also, like sometimes you're doubting yourself, and even though you know that you're on the right road and you've got the right understanding and what you're trying to achieve is correct, sometimes just having that person to turn around and go, yeah, I agree, that is right, or actually no, or whatever. Just having that little bit of self-belief in yourself, but having it backed up is huge. It's massive. And I definitely couldn't go back to being solopreneur. Oh,
Like too much hard work, isn't it?
oh, it's too much like hard work.
It's a lot easier. You're saying it's a lot easier working together.
Massive.
Definitely. I think it's obviously you take a percentage cut in terms of what you earn, but it's like a certain well-known bank card is, what you get back is priceless. It really is. And what we gain from each other, well, it is very much like my work wife, because my partner will come down and like we're into something and we're really in, and he normally works away and sometimes works at home, and he'll walk down and he goes, are you in my living room again? Because this is up.
Yep.
He's like, but we're just in the middle of something, it's really exciting. And he's like, oh.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, and sometimes you need that person, don't you? Because partners or other people, they're not always, whilst they might love you, they're not always excited about the same things or your business, or that's just the reality. And clearly, you two are. You seem really aligned.
But he's my partner's a software engineer and development operations and all these fancy words, and it's just another version of what we do, just in a very different realm. And what he does goes, it's really important, and he's excited, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And he's exactly the same. He's like that, nodding in the right time. We're like, it's very exciting. But it's just having that person that truly understands what you're talking about. I mean, we've had it where undecided of whether to go with a client or not. And when you're just starting out, it's like, but that's a wage. It's money coming in. But does that client align with you, your values, your morals, your expectations in life? And they actually didn't. And that battle of, we should really take it because we need the money to get going, to it doesn't align, something better will come along. And that, I battled with that for a long time. And Claire Louise was a voice of reason. This one, the pros and cons list, that kind of thing. It's hard. It's hard work sometimes.
Yeah, but two heads better than one. Yeah, 1 + 1 = 3. You don't have to. Never good at that. Look, this is the first one. Have you ever had disagreement yet?
We've disagreed in the sense of that, like if we're doing colours or fonts or whatever, like if we're branding for someone, but it's not in the, like, I don't know, say like I'll do something and whatever, and Claire Louise won't like it, but it's not like, it's like, well, what about this? What about that? So it's never been like, well, I want this and you want that. How do we compromise? We're not going to reach that point. I'm not going to say yet. We don't want to get to that point. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of the time it's what's best for the client. So it's like we had a client call this morning. We'd had some graphics kind of decisions, and Claire Louise was asking my opinion. I was like, something, just put them all on there. It'll be her choice. It's not what I like, or it's not what she likes, but it's not our decision. So we're not precious in the sense of that. If you didn't like, you're our client, you didn't like it, we're not going to take it personally in the sense of, oh my God, you hurt my feelings. We'd be like, oh, damn it, we got it wrong. Okay, let's try and learn you more. Let's try and get it right. Yeah. But because at the end of the day, that client's business is their baby. It's their bread and butter. It's what's representing them to move forward. And we take it very personally in the sense of that we want to get it right, but not in the sense that it's going to hurt our feelings. So it's like, whack it all on there. She'll choose what she wants and we'll go from there. And she didn't choose what we wanted anyway. So it was fine.
That's quite it. Love them or load them. Pretty important.
Exactly.
I love the fact you get on. You don't argue, and sometimes it helps whilst you're in this situation, because we're all human, aren't we? At some point, you're going to disagree on something important. So one of the things it's quite good to have some sort of protocol or agreements set up between you. You don't necessarily need to go legal. I'm sure you'll do all that when you come to formalising and going limited and stuff like that. But you could get some agreements going with you. So actually, it's a lot easier when you get to a point of it's not that you're going to split up or anything, but actually you're going to have those conversations. You're never going to agree on anything, are you?
100%. Exactly. We both got different opinions, different mindsets, and at the moment everything's complementing each other. But there will be a point. There will be a point that I won't want to go with a client and Claire will, and and vice versa or whatever. But like everything, it's just a case of compromise and working it out and hoping for the best.
For now, obviously, we're very much aligned with, like she said, the client's needs and what's good for the client, what's good for the business, what's aligned with our own values. And I think because we've both got a very secure thought process on that, and we are both quite similar, I think it makes it a little bit easier because obviously we then both want the same things.
Yeah.
So it's easier to come to them disagreements and make compromises, and like Kelly said, then just go, well, put it to the client, see what they think. It's not up to us, it's it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you're there to serve the clients together for the benefit of you both, aren't you?
Yeah,
exactly. And they'll be the judge and jury of whatever they want. So we just give them all the options, and then they choose. We can advise, obviously, and we can give opinions, but at the end of the day, it's up to them, and we're just here to support. So
I love to provoke and get you thinking. But I'm glad it's all very amicable. You're a perfect pair, perfect complement of stuff. Tell us a bit more about KC Socials and why somebody would choose you over another social media offering.
I think for us, there are so many. There's so many, and we work and align with a lot of social media managers as well. But for us, it's a case of that. If you like what we value in life, like at the end of the day, it's that person's business is their baby. It's their either point of contact for them, or it's their profit margins coming in, like a company, for example. For us, it's about if we align with them and they align with us, then we will then work together and we take on people's businesses as if they're our own. So what we put into our own, we would put into theirs as well. So what's important, what needs doing, when needs doing, and then we try and get it to a point that you're kind of answering the questions before they come with the clients. It's like, okay, have you thought of this? What about that? What the other? Which I suppose maybe other people do as well. But for us, it's about learning and aligning and nurturing the client through the journey, because we've had clients who are very, and I don't blame them, very scared to let somebody come in to outsource and to let their baby go and be looked after by somebody else, and is making sure that we give that assurance that their business, their portfolio, whatever it is that we're representing, is 100% looked after and valued to the same level, if not more, actually, to be fair, than our own. Because it's always much more fun working on somebody else's stuff than it is our own.
It's often the case, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Doing your own is a lot harder.
Very much so. But I think it's just, I don't know. I think you either like us or you don't. You're either going to come along or you're not. I mean, we do very, very bespoke packages. We never put our prices on any of our social medias, because not one price or package fits all. So we'd rather have a conversation with someone, learn what they want, understand what they want, how they want to move forward, what's their objective. Is it just a case of, I'm sick of posting on socials, it's not my bag? Or actually, I've got this big thing I want to sell and I want to get loads of notice about it. And then we will bespoke it up to them, depending on budget, depending on what time limit. We try to do the very, very utmost to be bespoke. We don't want to have, okay, well, if you want this, it was going to cost you that. And that's just the end of it. There's always negotiation. There's always a conversation about everything that we do. And you can either add or take away, depending on your budget.
And it's a broad area, isn't it? And a number of different platforms. Limited understanding amongst a lot of business community of how to do it and what works, etc. Do you cover them all? How do you approach things?
Again, I think it's dependent on the client. We are more expertise in some areas, certain platforms than others. But we're taught through our Tech Pixie training, we're on all of the platforms, not physically, but we can do all of the platforms. And we've got background training that we can go back to, like lifetime stuff that we can go back into and relearn. So, for example, I haven't done X as it is now for a long time. No one's using it from our clients at this point. No one's using it from our clients. So there's no need to be on it. There's no need to learn it again or to get their algorithms back up and running and all this and the understanding. However, we've got a bank of information we can tap back into to relearn it and to go forward. So we can do any platform. And we're now moving on to offering a podcast service as well. So we're moving out of just that, moving on to this, because I do a lot of the YouTube SEO and all that business. Claire Louise does a lot of the writing of copy. And so we're like, oh, okay, we've got this area we're going to go into now. But currently we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook are our clients' number ones at the moment.
Yeah.
But it just depends on what they want, which platform, and we'll work on it depending on what they want.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it's about, I guess you could advise on which platforms their audiences are on, where you're going to get the most traction, etc., etc.
Yeah, that comes down to gender reach, to age reach, very dependent, bespoke stuff depending on who they are. Some things work better on LinkedIn than they do on Instagram, and vice versa, and completely just depends. And a lot of people that come to us are overwhelmed. They don't know where to start, or they've been going for a little while and don't know how to go forward. Nothing's improving. Like one of our client that came through you, actually, didn't she?
Yeah, I think she knew what she was doing wasn't working, so she didn't really want somebody to take over. She just kind of wanted a little bit of hand holding. We actually designed a package around her, which is where, she kind of has our ears and our eyes on her social. So she'll do everything herself, post, create, everything, engage. And when we get onto a call, she will then ask, I've done this, or I'm thinking about this. And we can then advise and offer that kind of support. Obviously, she's got our WhatsApp if she needs.
Okay, there's almost an element of training and development.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's kind of led us to sort of like going along the lines of thinking about putting together a membership of that, because we found a lot of people just want that kind of support rather than the full social media management package. They just want the bespoke support for them. So yeah, we're now in talks with each other, obviously, to create like a hand-holding package.
That's quite interesting. So that's in the pipeline. We'll see that in the future. With some sort of package people can relate to.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people can't afford a social media manager. They can't. Their budget doesn't cater for that. They're just starting out themselves, or they've been going for a while. They're not turning over enough to warrant a whole package themselves. What a social media manager can bring to them, but they're willing to do their bits and pieces, but don't know how to move forward. So that client that Claire Louise is talking about is perfect. Kind of, okay, we get it. Let's understand what you're doing. Let's understand how you want to move forward. Okay, let's touch base, agreed times through the month. Let's do this. Let's advise you there. We did some template work with her through Canva. We did some ideas of how to do Instagram grids and all these things, a bit of teaching. But it was about, okay, we could still, for ourselves, give back by being able to support other people who can't afford to hire us 100%. So we can give an X amount, I don't know what percentage it would be, but percentage of our time per month, X amount of days in that month, to support, handhold, guide, whichever way you want to look at it, people through their own social media journeys without them breaking their particular budgets. So we can still give back, help out, and obviously earn some money as well. But it's more for us, it's about supporting, because when we first started, our prices were ridiculously really low. It's like, we need to build, we need to get a presence, we need to get an audience, we need to get, testimonials, and you will very rarely work out exactly how much your time costs until you do. And then you're like, it takes X hour to do this.
Mm.
Right, what am I going to charge per hour to do that? And then you go, okay, that £100 package a month is actually worth £500. And then you're like, oh.
Mhm.
And then you're like, how do you go from a basic package, which was everything, to this, what is now superstar wages in our heads? How do you move? How do you transit from that to that? And then it's a case of, you know something? That's just how much it costs. If you want all of that, it'll cost you that. And standing by that kind of understanding within ourselves, that's the worth. That's how much that package costs
Yeah, and
us.
you've got Claire Louise to support with all the analytics and the results and so you can demonstrate the return on investment for people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point of it. So we've taken over from social media managers on other clients. They were charging much more than we did. We changed our prices now because obviously as time evolves. And they were offering so little in comparison. It's like, what? But then we actually realized, like, we paid a lot of money to learn and to be educated and to get our certifications in social media management. A lot of money, a lot of time. And it's like, something, we know what we're talking about. In our respective fields, we know what we're talking about, and we're worth the money to get our knowledge. It's worth the money. And I was like, let's stand by our.
Yeah, good on you both. I mean, this. Let me preface this next question because this is not about you, yeah. But when one of the things that rings alarm bells in my head, if you start a conversation with somebody in social media, if it goes along the lines of how many posts am I going to get for that amount? You're nodding your head, you know what I mean? Because there's loads of, as you all know better than I, but there's loads of tech that you can really easily, and templates, you can very easily automate pumping a lot of push messages out there. But as you know, it's a conversation. Yeah. So, obviously I'm not educating you. This is people that are out there trying to pick the right social media company to deliver value for them. What's your perspective on that?
I think you can run your whole life through ChatGPT and automation, if you want, and the three parts of it, to be fair. So you can say, well, I don't need a social media manager because I can just do it through that. And yes, you can. And that's how you want to go about it. That's how you want to go about it. However, for us, it's not just about making this amazing copy and it just looking sparkly and having a nice image and all the rest of it. If you're not nurturing and looking after your audience, if you're not looking after your potential new clients that are coming in, or your business to business relationship, if you're not putting yourself out there authentically and looking like you are unique, and everything, all that type of stuff becomes very generic and very samey. If you're working in that world, you can see lingo that okay, that's AI. There's certain phrases, there's certain ways that it's written. You can read it, you can see it. And when we do use AI, we're not adverse to it.
Yeah.
But it's about giving you some ideas and working your way forward. But it's working it with the client to make it sound like them and making sure that they approve of what we're doing, obviously. But if you're not engaging properly, if you're not looking after your audience properly, if you're not then looking after your client properly by giving them the analytics and knowing what's working and not, then you're going to fail, because no one's going to be interested. You could have 1,000 followers, but are they good? Are they going to buy from you? Are they going to, I don't know, so you're selling a book. Are they going to buy your book? Or you put some really good fancy stuff out and people like your blurb.
Yeah, I call it a vanity metric, isn't it? Like
vanity metrics, exactly. So you could have 50 followers and every single one of them have bought your book at £15 a pop.
Yeah.
Well, that's worth something. So what followers, this all comes down to the analytics. What followers are you having? What are you looking at? Who are you looking at? What's your gender ratios? Is it a male thing? Is it a female thing? Is it anybody thing? Is it an age thing? Are you appealing to longevity, so somebody who's in the 55 plus range? There's no point going on Instagram and posting rubbish that a teenager's going to look at. It's not going to work. If your price cap's £1,000 a membership, then you need to appeal to that right audience. And that's what you're paying for with a social media manager. It's the experience behind all that knowledge. It's like you're going to get a whole insight, because obviously we've got other clients. It's like, well, I had a brilliant client who was a personal trainer, and we had a studio who was doing longevity and age-defying stuff. Very different fields in one respect, but all about fitness in another. So you could relate and work, and what you'd found out for one, you could apply to the other, and you can say, well, is that going to work as well? Or, something failed. Don't do that again. So you're not going to move it forward to your next client. But if you're sat there with your chat GPT doing your, let's put the keywords in, blah, 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 you haven't got that background knowledge, the 15 years experience of knowing what's working.
Well said. Now, I know you ladies like giving back, but before you go, because you talked about nurturing clients there, and obviously that's a key chunk of the social media job. Not everyone realises that or does that. Could you give to us, maybe just give a couple of tips that you're managing your own? So let's say, look, if I'm on Instagram, what couple of tips would you give me to make sure I'm doing the nurture bit right?
Whenever you post, every time you post, be available for the first half an hour after you post, because that's going to be your prime time of that someone's going to engage with you. So you put something out, a really fantastic post and imagery and sound and whatever, and it's that half an hour, be available. So when someone comments on what you've said, you're there to reply.
Yeah.
That's the first tip. Second tip is not ours, it's come from Joy Foster, is no comment gets left behind. So anytime someone comments at some point, doesn't matter when, you could have posted something a year ago and someone's just gone back through and decided to comment on it, you then reply. You never, ever, ever let a comment go without a reply. Because not only is it, you should do that anyway, because that should be how you run your business, but also it's looking after that client. So they've said, oh my gosh, that was a really great post. It resonated with me because blah, 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 blah. And you never reply, that person's going, oh, you're rubbish. I've just
it's a conversation. It's the equivalent of me asking you a question and you saying nothing.
Exactly.
Wouldn't make for a great podcast.
Exactly.
And most people see it as quite rude.
100%. And that's a great analogy. It's like if someone's spoken to you and you ignored them. Even if somebody's put a heart emoji because they loved it, heart emoji back. Or even if you want to actually do some really good stuff, thanks so much. What resonated with you? What did you find good about this?
Yeah.
And create a conversation.
Get it going.
Exactly.
Is there any, different parts? So if you were comparing, let's use some of them that are in the top. If you were comparing LinkedIn with Instagram, is there a different etiquette of doing some of this you'd need to take into account?
Yeah, 100%. So Instagram, if we're going to do a post, now, no, you don't have to post something brand new every time on each platform that you've got. You don't have to do that. It's a waste of energy. You can use the same image if you wanted to, and the same copy if you wanted to. But for LinkedIn, you would professionalize it up. So there is a way of, you're not going to have all your slang and your lingo, and you could. If that's your brand and that's how you want to do it, that's fine. But you would word it differently for LinkedIn because it's seen as the professional side of life, as opposed to Instagram, which is much more glitzy and sparkles and color and sound and movement and all the rest of it. So we would write copy and change it up for LinkedIn and do it differently for Instagram. And you can use the same for Facebook because they're very, very similar. But we would change it up. One, it looks good because it shows you made an effort. So if somebody's following you, say, for example, for us, we've got the 3 channels. So somebody's following you in all 3 and your posts go out, and whenever they go out, they're going to go, oh, that reads different. Same message, but reads different to that one. You've made a bit of an effort. Or, if someone's only following you on LinkedIn, they're not going to really resonate with you if your lingo isn't quite right for the platform. So you could lose somebody that way. So yeah, you want to, whatever your platform you're using, you want to use the right tone for that platform.
Excellent. I'm sure we could go on and you share many tips. I think it's five for 3 now. I know you've got someone to.
It's fine.
Someone to pick up. before we sign off, is there anything else that you would like to add, Claire, Louise? Let's start with you.
I just not in regards to anything else. I just think it's a thank you, obviously, for this opportunity. It's been really, really great. And yeah, just if anybody needs to have that conversation with us, we're available on all the channels, our email, phone number, get in touch. And I think that's the only way you can think and work with people to see if they're actually worthy of carrying on with. Like, actually, having that conversation with
Have
them.
a conversation, yeah.
It's been a long time.
We're massive advocates of having really open conversations in the No Limits community. So I'm sure that these guys would appreciate a few questions and be able to give some of their time and what you. Kelley, any last comments from you?
I think just from what I've learned is just if it's not working for you, then work out what can. So whether that's going in a partnership, outsourcing, or a complete change of direction, it's just I spent so long battling, and it just was a horrible headspace to be in. When I'm now in a brilliant headspace, great, working partner and friendship, to be fair, great working partner, and we can just go. But that was a decision I had to make, and to move my company forward was to actually I need to amalgamate. So anyone sitting on the fence and going, something, I bloody hate what I'm doing, change it up, and don't be afraid to, because I spent far too long. I think we talked for about a year before we did anything, and it was a year of battle for me. And it was just like, don't sit on it. Time's too short. It's just we're in a happy space now, professionally, friendship wise, family wise. It's just 100% worth it. Just change it up, for sure.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you both for joining the Business with No Limits community and becoming part of the No Limits group.
Thank you for having us. It's been amazing.
My pleasure. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.